Hello everyone, this is Vincenzo and welcome to a new video where I'm going to show you why I don't play too many bullet games. So, this was a game I played on Lichess. Yeah, because I have recently created a Lichess account. So if you want, you can add me there as well. And you can find me by the same username, so Darien Dane YouTube. Okay, as you can see here, the graph is going crazy. There were many blunders from both parts, but I played worse, in my opinion. As you can see here, 12 blunders, 5 mistakes, 4 inaccuracies, and 3 missed wins. So very bad game, but it was a bullet game, so nobody really cares about bullet rating or games. But I'm going to show you this game because I want to show you why you should never resign, at least in a bullet game. So I'm going now to show you the accuracy, which was ridiculous. And yeah, that's right, it was 59.5 versus 57.9. So very poor accuracy. And the game ended in a draw, although my opponent was actually minus 59.4 here. But then, funnily enough, these moves here actually required some knowledge. So it was a very bad game, but I knew my end game here and I could save the game. Okay, let's start with the analysis. Okay, and this is the game. As you can see, a lot of blunders. And okay, let's start. D4, as always. D5. Okay, we have the London. Now, common moves. Here I've never considered that move. Queen G4. But looks very interesting. So, my opponent moved the F pawn. Okay, that's fine. Now I strike in the center with C4 because I want to develop my bishop and open the position. Now my opponent doesn't take, instead the castles, and I jump my knight in the center because I want to maybe push the c pawn to c5, and I don't want my opponent to take my bishop. But this is an inaccuracy because my opponent can just develop their knight and trade off the knight I've just put in the center. So okay, b6. I go a3 here. I don't really know why. Now this move is not a very good move, bishop b7, because there is a pawn on d5, so why would you fianchetto the bishop? But maybe he wants to take on c4, and then if I take with the bishop I lose a pawn with tempo. Let me show you. Let's say I play a random move. You can take, and if I take I lose the g pawn with tempo on the rook. So what did I do here? I went b4, so not caring anything about this threat. My opponent didn't see the threat, so I pushed with c5, which is a mistake because it can just be taken. And now my opponent takes, and I take with the pawn to kick the knight away. The knight jumps into the middle, And here I played this very bad move, bishop b5, because I'm not even pinning the d7 knight. So I don't really know why, sorry, I played that move. Anyway, my opponent kicked me away immediately, although you can argue that now this bishop really is useless, but not for long. Okay, I dropped the bishop back, now my opponent takes, I took the knight in the center, my opponent takes and opens the f-file for his rook. Now I lift the queen, I don't know why. Oh yeah, because if pawn takes, I wanted to take with the queen. Okay, my opponent doesn't take, so I develop my knight and castle. Okay, my opponent takes, I take, the queen attacks the pawn, and I move the queen to defend, but this is a blunder, and instead knight takes e4 is back to equal almost. So why is that? What if I take and my opponent just takes? Okay, yeah, the knight is undefended, so now my opponent's pawns are bad, and it is equal in material. Okay, yeah, I didn't see this move. It was a bullet game, so instead I defended passively. Now I take with the rook to not lose my pawn on b4. My opponent wants to trade rooks, and I didn't trade. I don't know why, because trading was obviously best, but I didn't do it. So instead I played even more passively, and here I played this random move. I really didn't know what to do, and as you can see here, I've already blundered a pawn with check, so very bad move. My opponent doesn't see it, and now I defend with the king, another blunder. Now I didn't really want to take this bishop because this will only help my opponent's pawn structure. So this is why I didn't take, and I didn't even want to take the queen. If I trade queen, it is game over basically. And here my opponent blundered a piece here, as you can see, the bishop. But this is not so clear, because look at all these pawns here. They are ready to start pushing and promoting. Okay, I take, it was forced. Now my opponent takes with the d pawn, and apparently it was bad. So here I moved my king back, because if I go king d2 to blockade this pawn, there is rook a2 check, and then I cannot block. Yeah, so this is why I put my king on d1, and now these pawns are starting to move forward. Okay, here another blunder. I saw the e-pawn was undefended, so I attacked the e-pawn. And yeah, in bullet chess, at least for me, it is very common to make just one move threats that doesn't achieve anything in the long run. But yeah, this is bullet. So here I didn't simply take the e-pawn, because otherwise this would be a fork. So I moved my rook, and now I took the pawn. Apparently it was a missed win. I don't know why this move was almost +4. And here I wanted to block the rook, block the c-file, but my opponent gave a check. and here the engine is saying that I should sacrifice my rook for 2 pawns. Okay, now the knight gets in, and here the knight took, and I blundered. I don't know why did I go here, but anyway. Now this move allowed me to take one more pawn, but it is a blunder because obviously here my opponent missed this very simple move, which is pushing, and yeah, I can take a pawn, but my opponent is going to promote his pawn with check and win my rook. So he missed it, and I missed it. I missed that I could just take this and it is winning. I went here for no reason, attacking the knight. My opponent missed it again, and again I took the knight. I suppose time was very low here, but I should have seen that move. Knight takes d3. Okay, now my opponent finally sees the move, so I cannot prevent the promotion, so I take. I move my rook, my opponent gives a check, I slide my king, where he can have some cover. Now another check. Here I don't know why I didn't take the pawn. My opponent pushes, I take the pawn, and here I completely miss that my rook is attacked, so I go here for no reason, lose the rook. Now I get my king to g4. Okay, this is obviously a lost game, but time was very low, and this is why I kept playing, although there was like 1 second increment, so of course I should have lost. Okay, I get my knight to e6, attacking the rook moves, I get my knight here. Maybe I'm trying to set up some stalemate, but it is not really possible. I can move almost every piece but the g pawn. So yeah, I moved my knight back, this is check, I slide my king, my opponent prepares a check, I move f5, this is mate in 6, but it is very hard to see mate in 6 in a bullet game. My opponent gave another check, I moved my king, I block the rook checks. My opponent here took the bishop, and of course it is still winning for him, but now it is more difficult because you only have a queen and I have a lot of pawns and a knight, so it is not so easy to deliver checkmate, especially in a bullet game. So I moved my king around because I didn't really know what to do. Here yeah, my opponent also shuffled, he brought his king, and now I defend everything. Yeah, my opponent takes, gives a check, I move the king, I don't know what to do. And here I start moving the knight, and it is mate in 1 actually, as you can see. The queen can just take the knight with checkmate, but he doesn't see it, so now I defend my knight, check, I go here, check, I move the king, I block the check, okay, and I start losing all my pawns. So this is looking horrible. Wow, have you seen it? It said mate in 52. I mean, and now it is mate in 24. Yeah, like any human being will find mate in 24. Okay, I lose another pawn, I attack the queen and defend my pawn, check, and here my opponent played a bad move because he saw that this pawn was defended by my knight, and that this pawn was 4 squares away from promotion. So my opponent actually took my knight in exchange for their queen. I obviously took the queen, and now my opponent took the pawn, but I know this endgame, and it is a draw, because now I can take opposition. It doesn't really matter if you go here or here, I believe. Now my opponent goes to f5, I take opposition again, and he pushes the pawn, and it may look like he's going to promote the pawn because I have to step back. But what happens? That you get behind the pawn, now the opponent takes opposition and you step back. The opponent steps forward, you take opposition, they deliver a check, you go in front of the pawn, and now my opponent understood that this was a draw and moved their king away, so I just took the pawn and it was a draw. Okay, and I didn't lose any rating for this game. I should have, because obviously I played very bad, but what's more interesting is that here, as you can see, I actually got a slightly higher accuracy than my opponent. So you see that even if you're losing, if your opponent doesn't really know some endgames, and you do know those endgames, or whatever they don't know that you know, and play a move such as queen takes, if you know what you're doing, you can save the game actually. So this is why you should not resign here. As you can see, it is a draw according to table base. Yeah, see, this is 100% black wins, and now it is a draw. Yeah, okay, and yeah, this is why you should not resign a bullet game. Well, at least if you are fast and there is some increment, you should keep playing, because anything can happen. So okay, I just wanted to show you why I don't play many bullet games, and this is why I'm very bad at bullet. But I wanted to announce that a couple of days ago I played in a tournament organized by none other than the Ginger GM. So it was a blitz tournament on Lichess. It was a 3+1 blitz time control, and well, I did horrible in that tournament. I lost like 12 games and won 6, so very bad performance. But I actually played my first title player, so if you want to see that game, please subscribe, leave a like, a comment, because once we reach 400 subscribers, I'm going to make a video against my first title player. And actually I didn't play too bad in that game. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know if you would like to see that game, and see you in the next video.